She got into the car at exactly 5:42 p.m. Broad daylight, busy street, cameras everywhere, and still she vanished. No struggle, no screams, no witnesses who saw what really happened inside that vehicle. Just one moment, a wrong car door opening, and a life erased in under 5 seconds. By midnight, her phone was dead. By morning, the driver was at work, like nothing ever happened. But what he didn't know, the cameras never stopped watching, and what they captured would expose everything. Friday, October 18, 11:42 p.m. Downtown Cleveland was already slowing down for the night. Streetlights reflected off wet pavement. Bars were closing. Late-night traffic thinning out. And inside a small corner convenience store on East 9th Street, a security camera quietly recorded everything. At exactly 11:43 p.m., a woman stepped into frame. Black, mid-20s, gray hoodie, black jeans, phone pressed between her shoulder and ear. Her name was Tiana Brooks. She had just finished a double shift at a nearby restaurant. Coworkers later said she was exhausted, but in a good mood, talking about weekend plans, laughing, nothing unusual. Inside the store, she grabbed a bottle of water and a small pack of gum. Routine stuff. The kind of stop you don't even think twice about. 11:46 p.m. Receipt printed. She thanked the cashier, pushed the glass door open, and stepped back into the night. Outside, another camera caught her walking toward the curb, still on the phone, still calm, head slightly down as if listening closely to whoever was on the other end. Then she stopped. A dark sedan rolled slowly into frame. Black, 4-door, tinted windows too dark to see inside. The car pulled up beside her like it had been expected. Tiana leaned down toward the passenger window, said something, listened. Then, after only a few seconds, she opened the rear door and got in. The car drove off at 11:47 p.m. At the time, it looked normal. Just another late-night pickup. Nothing alarming, nothing suspicious. But by 8:12 a.m. the next morning, Tiana Brooks had still never made it home, and that black sedan was the last place she was ever seen alive. Saturday, October 19, 8:12 a.m. Tiana's younger sister, Mariah, stood outside their apartment building on Cedar Avenue, phone pressed tight to her ear. It rang and rang, then went to voicemail again. Tiana was supposed to be home hours ago. Her shift ended at 11. Even with a late bus, she never got back later than midnight. But her bed hadn't been slept in, her keys weren't on the kitchen counter, and her phone was still going straight to voicemail. By 9:03 a.m., Mariah filed a missing person report with Cleveland PD. At first, officers treated it like a routine adult missing case. 26 years old, no history of running away, no known threats, no active disputes. But as they spoke with family, one detail stood out quickly. Tiana never stayed out overnight without telling someone. Not once, not ever. Low tension builds. Detectives requested access to her phone records. Last outgoing call, 11:41 p.m., just minutes before she entered the convenience store. The line lasted 6 minutes. Then the line disconnected at 11:47 p.m., right when the black sedan pulled away. Her phone never connected to another tower after that. No texts, no app activity, nothing, as if it had been powered off or destroyed. By early afternoon, officers canvassed the route between Tiana's workplace and home, bus stops, parking lots, side streets, anyone who might have seen her after work. That's when a store manager on East 9th mentions something important. "There's a camera out front," he said, points straight at the curb. Within an hour, detectives were standing inside the convenience store office, watching the exact moment Tiana Brooks stepped outside at 11:46 p.m. They saw her pause at the curb, saw the dark sedan pull up and watched in crystal clear footage as she got into a car that no one could identify. The timestamp in the corner kept blinking forward, 11:47 p.m., 11:48 p.m. Then, the street went empty again. And just like that, the investigation turned from missing person to something far more serious. Saturday, October 19, 2:26 p.m. Detectives pulled the convenience store footage onto a larger monitor at Central District, frame by frame, second by second. Nothing was rushed. They enhanced the moment the black sedan entered view, zoomed in on headlights, reflections, license plate area. But the plate was unreadable, either intentionally covered or lost in shadow. Still, the footage gave them something valuable, a timeline. 11:46:32. Tiana exits the store. 11:46:51. Black sedan enters frame from the south. 11:47:08. She opens the rear passenger door. 11:47:14. Vehicle pulls away. Total interaction, less than 25 seconds. No hesitation, no visible fear, no struggle. She moved like she believed the ride was normal, expected even. That detail changed everything. Detectives now believed Tiana didn't get forced into the car. She got in willingly, which meant one thing. She either knew the driver or thought she did. By 4:10 p.m., officers expanded the search radius, traffic cameras, parking garages, apartment complexes, any lens that might have caught the sedan after it left East 9th. Cleveland had over 300 active street cameras downtown. Finding one black car shouldn't have been difficult, but it was, because that specific stretch of road had limited coverage after midnight, and most nearby cameras faced intersections, not side streets. Still, one traffic cam positioned 3 blocks west picked up something. At 11:49 p.m., a dark sedan matching the same shape passed through a yellow light on Prospect Avenue, moving westbound, away from downtown, away from Tiana's route home. Investigators froze the frame, zoomed in, adjusted contrast. On the rear windshield, barely visible beneath streetlight glare, was a small rectangular sticker, white, faded, placed in the lower corner. It wasn't much, but it was the first identifying mark they had, and within the hour, that tiny sticker would lead them to a name no one expected to hear. Saturday, October 19, 5:38 p.m. Detective Harris paused the footage on the rear windshield, zoomed in again, then again. "That sticker," he said, "that's not random." They pulled DMV databases, rental fleet identifiers, university parking permits, rideshare decals. Nothing matched. Then one junior analyst noticed something. Small, almost nothing. The sticker wasn't centered. It was crooked, like it had been peeled off and stuck back on. That narrowed it down. Used car lots. By 6:22 p.m., detectives were calling dealerships within a 10-mile radius, asking a simple question: have you sold a black sedan recently with a rear window sticker that looks like it was removed? Most said no. One didn't. At 7:11 p.m., a used car dealer on Lorraine Avenue called back. "Yeah," he said, "sold one last month. Black Nissan Altima. Sticker was from our lot. Guy asked me to take it off. I missed a corner." Detectives asked for the paperwork. Name on the sale: Marcus Ellison, age 32, local address, cash purchase, no criminal record, no outstanding warrants, worked warehouse logistics on the west side. On paper, he looked clean, too clean. By 8:04 p.m., detectives drove past the listed address, lights off, driveway empty. They checked his workplace, night shift, clock-in time, 12:30 a.m. Marcus had been scheduled to work less than 40 minutes after Tiana got into that car, which meant if that sedan was his, he had just enough time to do something before showing up like nothing happened. Detectives didn't move in yet. They waited, because if Marcus Ellison was the driver, they needed to be absolutely sure. One wrong move, and whatever happened to Tiana Brooks would disappear for good. Saturday night, 11:52 p.m. An unmarked sedan idled half a block from Marcus Ellison's apartment, headlights off, engine low. Inside, two detectives watched the building entrance through a long lens. No movement, no lights, no sign anyone was home. At 12:27 a.m., a second unit parked near the warehouse where Marcus worked. If he showed up for his shift, they'd know he was trying to look normal. 12:31 a.m. Employees began clocking in, one by one, but Marcus Ellison didn't. 12:46 a.m. Still no sign. Detective Harris checked his watch again, jaw tightening. If he's not at work, he muttered, then he's somewhere else. At 1:03 a.m., a patrol unit circling 3 blocks from Marcus's apartment spotted something. A black sedan parked under a broken streetlight, engine cold, windows dark, plate matched. Officers approached slowly, flashlights cutting through the darkness. Inside the car, empty, but the passenger seat was pushed all the way back, and on the floor, a single white sneaker. Heavy silence. Detectives secured the vehicle immediately. Forensics called in. Crime scene tape stretched across the quiet street. Then Harris noticed something else. The trunk was slightly open. Not enough to see inside, just enough to show it hadn't latched properly. Slow breath. He stepped closer, lifted it carefully, and stopped. By 1:19 a.m., the radio call went out citywide. Suspect Marcus Ellison, now considered priority. Possible abduction confirmed. Because whatever had happened after Tiana Brooks got into that car, it hadn't ended on that street, and Marcus Ellison was no longer just a person of interest. He was running. Sunday, October 20, 1:27 a.m. The call went out quiet, but fast. Every patrol unit, every highway exit, every camera grid in the district, Marcus Ellison was now priority. Detectives didn't announce it publicly, didn't push alerts to media, didn't want him spooked, because if Marcus realized they found the car, he'd disappear for real. Inside the black Ultima, forensics worked under portable floodlights, gloves, tweezers, evidence bags. That single white sneaker on the floor, size matched Tiana's. Passenger seat rails showed scratch marks, like someone had kicked hard, tried to push back, tried to get out. Then they saw it, a faint smear along the inside door panel. Not obvious, not dramatic, but under blue light, it lit up. Blood, very small amount, but fresh. At 4:46 a.m., Detective Harris stepped away from the car and made the call he'd been holding off. "Notify her parents," he said quietly. "We're upgrading this." Across town, digital analysts pulled Marcus's phone records. Last outgoing signal, 6:02 p.m., cell tower ping near Riverside Industrial Strip. After that, phone powered off. Not dead, off, which meant Marcus didn't panic. He planned. License plate readers started populating on screen. Traffic cams, toll cams, gas station lots. At 6:14 p.m., 12 minutes after Tiana entered the car, the black Ultima was captured heading west, away from downtown, away from crowds, toward warehouses, rail yards, and miles of empty riverfront access roads, places where nobody hears you, nobody looks twice, and cameras get real scarce. Detectives marked every frame, every timestamp, building a timeline down to the minute, because Marcus Ellison wasn't just running, he had a route, and somewhere along that route, Tiana Brooks had vanished. Sunday, October 20, 2:18 a.m. The route map stretched across 3 monitors, red dots, camera hits, timestamps. Every movement Marcus made after 6:14 p.m. Detective Harris traced the line with a pen. Downtown pickup, westbound exit, industrial strip, then nothing. No cameras for nearly 9 minutes. 9 minutes in a city grid is a lifetime. When the Altima appeared again at 6:23 p.m., it was caught by a single traffic cam near the old Riverside rail yard. Different direction, now heading south. That meant he stopped somewhere inside that blind zone, long enough to turn around, long enough to do something. Satellite map came up. Abandoned factories, scrap yards, storage lots, miles of broken concrete and rusted fencing, places you could drive into and no one would notice. By 2:41 a.m., search units were rolling out. Unmarked SUVs, canine teams, portable floodlights loaded in trunks. Quiet operation. No sirens, no uniforms visible from main roads. If Marcus was out there, they didn't want him seeing police before police saw him. One patrol reported passing Marcus's listed address again. Still dark, still empty. Another unit checked his workplace. Warehouse supervisor confirmed Marcus never showed for his 12:30 shift. That changed everything. Now it wasn't a coincidence. Not bad timing, not misunderstanding. Marcus Ellison was officially missing, and when suspects disappear right after a girl does, it usually means one thing: they know exactly what happened. At 3:06 a.m., canine units entered the Riverside Industrial Zone, leashes tight, flashlights cutting through chain-link shadows. Within 6 minutes, one of the dogs stopped, sat down, refused to move, right beside a set of fresh tire marks leading off the cracked service road and into a fenced, abandoned loading yard. If Marcus stopped here, this might be the last place Tiana Brooks was ever seen alive. Sunday, October 20. 3:14 a.m. Floodlights powered on one by one. White eames washed over the abandoned loading yard. Cracked asphalt, broken pallets, rusted containers stacked like walls. The canines stayed locked on the same spot, front paws planted, low growl in its throat. Mark it. An evidence flag went down beside the tire tracks. Fresh, deep, same width as a Nissan Altima. Detective Harris stepped carefully across the gravel, flashlight low, every movement slow, measured. Then he saw it, a single high heel, black, scuffed at the toe, lying on its side near a drainage grate. Crime scene techs froze. No one spoke for a moment, because everyone already knew who that shoe belonged to. Photos first. Flash. Flash, flash, evidence bag sealed at 3:22 a.m. Then the wider sweep began. Flashlights combed the yard, between containers, behind concrete barriers, inside a collapsed loading dock. Nothing, no body, no phone, no purse, just silence and the echo of distant freight trains. Then a second canine handler called out, "Got something." Near the far fence line, half hidden by weeds, the ground looked disturbed. Not a full grave, more like hurried digging, then filled back in. Loose soil, uneven surface, as if someone started something and stopped. Detectives exchanged a look. Grave teams weren't called yet, but everyone felt it. This wasn't random anymore. This yard wasn't just a stop. It was part of whatever Marcus did after Tiana got into that car. At 3:47 a.m., command approved a full excavation at first light. Until then, the scene stayed locked down. No leaks, no press, no noise, because if Marcus Ellison was still out there and he heard police found this place, he might run, or worse, come back to finish what he started. Sunday, October 20th, 6:02 a.m. First light bled over the loading yard. Gray sky, cold air, the kind that makes everything feel sharper. Excavation lights hummed on. Generators rattled. Yellow tape stretched wider. Forensics marked a 6x6 section near the disturbed soil. Photographs, measurements, grid lines. Then, the first shovel hit dirt, soft, recently moved, not compact like the rest of the ground. Every scoop went into evidence trays, slow, careful, no mistakes now. Detective Harris stood a few feet back, coffee untouched in his hand, eyes locked on that patch of earth. No one spoke, just shovels and the faint scrape of metal against gravel. It's 6:18 a.m. One of the techs froze. Hold up. He crouched lower, brushed gently with a gloved hand, revealing something pale beneath the soil. Fabric, dark blue, cotton blend. Harris stepped closer, heart starting to pound because he'd seen that fabric before. Security footage, bus stop camera, 5:11 p.m. Tiana's hoodie, heavy silence. The excavation slowed even more. Brushes instead of shovels now. Each grain of dirt moved like it mattered. More fabric appeared, then a wrist, still half buried. A young officer quietly turned away. Another swallowed hard. Time of recovery logged, 6:27 a.m. There was no longer any doubt. Tiana Brooks hadn't disappeared. She'd been brought here, left here, covered fast and careless in the dark. But one question hit harder than the rest. Why start digging, then stop? The shallow grave wasn't finished, barely concealed, like someone got interrupted or ran out of time. Tension rise. Detective Harris checked his watch. Marcus Ellison clocked in the work at 12:30 a.m., calm, on time, like nothing happened, which meant after burying her, or trying to, he went straight to his job and worked an entire shift. Quiet, cold realization. It's 6:41 a.m. The call finally went out. Bring him in. Because now it wasn't a missing person case, it was homicide. And Marcus Ellison was about to find out how much those cameras really saw. Sunday, October 20, 9:12 a.m. Marcus Ellison sat still, back straight, hands folded, like he was waiting for a job interview, not a homicide charge. A paper cup of water sweated in front of him, untouched. Detective Harris placed a photo on the metal table, didn't slide it, just set it down. Tiana, bus stop, 5:11 p.m. Marcus glanced once, then looked away. I already told the other officers, he said. I don't know her. Harris nodded slowly, like he expected that answer. Then he placed the second photo down, the black Altima, rear camera still, 5:42 p.m. Marcus didn't look this time, but his jaw tightened. You clocked into work at 12:30 a.m., Harris said softly. On time, calm, no stress. That's impressive, considering what you did between 5:42 and midnight. Silence filled the room, heavy, suffocating. Marcus shifted in his chair, first crack. Then Harris placed the last photo down, the excavation site, flashing police lights, crime scene markers, and a strip of dark blue fabric, half covered in dirt. We found her. Marcus's breathing changed, small, uneven. Seconds passed, then a full minute. Finally, he spoke. She wasn't supposed to get in. Harris didn't react, didn't interrupt. Marcus rubbed his hands together, staring at the table. I thought she was someone else. Same hoodie, same stop. She realized quick, started yelling, tried to jump out. His eyes shut tight. I panicked. Everything after that came out in fragments. A struggle, a wrong turn into the service road, hands that didn't let go when they should have, and a shallow grave he didn't finish because he was running late for work. At 10:03 a.m., Marcus Ellison was formally charged. No chase, no dramatic arrest, just a quiet click of handcuffs in a silent room. Tiana's family got the call at 10:26, the one every family fears but needs: closure, all because she stepped into the wrong car for less than 5 seconds. And the cameras, the silent witnesses above every street, never blinked. If this story pulled you in, Stay with us, because the next case, it starts with a single knock at 2:17 a.m.